Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a splashing good time. January recruitment month for them.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I mean, I would not want to hear that. I would not want to got great this year at SPD. Boy, weird.
All right, that's a nice way to get things.
Woo! Yeah.
Welcome to Friday night flights and fights. Cheers to the weekend.
Oh, amen, brother.
That's for sure. It is whiskey on ice. Now, here we go. On my mustache glass right.
Woo. I love
go.
that. Nice.
Cheers, everyone.
Well, yeah, it's fitting that you have the mustache cup because anybody who watched our live at AEW video noticed that you were wearing that big Butch mask that I got you. We love ourselves some Butch. He was Ryan. Have you seen him with this mask on?
Oh yeah, I've seen the Butch mask.
Yeah, it's fantastic, dude. As soon as I saw that on AEW Shop, I was like, I know my friend Sean, and that is totally him. Like,
Yes.
and it was so funny. He was wearing a cowboy hat. He was wearing a cowboy hat throughout the airport, and he had that mask on. And literally, he looked like Wyatt Earp. It was awesome.
It's great, man. I love
I kept
this mask.
thinking,
Thank you so
with
much.
that long hair of yours, I was like, I'm your Huckleberry. I knew exactly. You were the man, bro. So,
That's for sure. I mean, it definitely stand out with our Dynamite download shirts on. The hat and the mustache. I mean, that's definitely why MJF said a big F you to us when he saw us in the crowd. So we know we know it better than that for sure. But we're coming off the heels of just recently, a couple hours ago, posting our interview with Maddie Rankowski. Hey Brian, hi Lori, thank you guys for joining us. And it was a blast talking with her yesterday. As typically we find, every time we talk to a talent, it exceeds our expectation just because everyone is so grounded. It's so down to earth, so cool, so supportive. And that's a common theme, I think, just throughout AEW in general. And it was just so nice to talk to her. She had some great stories. Definitely check out that interview if you haven't checked it out already. We look forward to speaking to her again in the future. And, it just came to me, we saw a couple of her other interviews that got released over the past 24 hours. But it came to me, just randomly as we were like bouncing things off of that tag match idea, Maddie Rankowski
that was so
and Thunder
cool.
Tagging against Britt and Reba. And I think that would be an outstanding match. I guess we'll start off right off the bat. We had a fan question on Twitter, and I kind of noticed this, and I put this on our Instagram as well. I noticed the Revolution poster was featuring of course, Sheeta because of her match, but they were heavily featuring Britt as a large centerpiece of that poster. And Britt Baker, is out of the tournament. And she rightfully deserves a match at Revolution. Also, the women deserve another match at Revolution, not a pre-show match or anything. So that kind of got the question online. I'm like wondering what I was wondering it too, but then we had the official question, since Britt is featured on the poster, who do you see her facing at Revolution out of there? What do you guys think? Oh, wait, hold on. That was the key word.
Oh, you did say it already.
The word of the night is revolution.
Oh,
so
gosh.
Every time we hear that word, cheers to the weekend.
Oh, goodness. This is going to be a long night. All right. Everybody buckle up. This is going to be one of those Fridays, huh? All right. Well, I will say, Bonds, as the lead writer and as our special host this last week, why don't you lead us off with that response?
Well, I mean, I think that a tag match makes a lot of sense, especially if they're going to bring in a women's tag division. Who better to start it off than Britt Baker, right?
Who better?
Exactly.
Who better?
Exactly. I think that would be really interesting, especially, Reba Rebel's a veteran with TNA. So, she's a good veteran as well. So you get those two in a tag team. I think that'd be really interesting and entertaining. Now, opponent-wise, Maddie and Thunder Rosa would be awesome. That would be really cool. But, I think that getting them in a tag match itself would just be entertaining. Seeing women's tag match on a pay-per-view, that'd be great, especially that talent.
You don't see that all the time. You don't.
Yeah.
No, it's very rare. I don't think there's been one since I've been covering with you guys. There hasn't been one on TV. So that would be an awesome change of pace, especially for a pay-per-view. Get more eyes on the product, I think, as well. I think that would be a great approach.
Yeah, I think hey, thank you for joining the club, Brian. Team Dynamite Download has been huge. They've been clamoring for Britt. I mean, SPD and I, we were fighting. We kept going. It was like a personal mission to us that Britt and Thunder got the love and the respect. Put some respect on their names. Like, legit, Britt Baker just won Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. It feels like she has truthfully put in the work, and she feels SPD, it. Like, when you see somebody who believes in what they're doing, is authentic, like, she's killing it in this new role, and her in-ring work has benefited from it. I was clamoring for her to be Thunder versus Britt in the semifinals. I thought that was to me a no-brainer, but I like what Tony, sometimes he knows how to throw you some curveballs and then keep you wanting, he knows we want that match. He knows that the fans want to see Britt versus Thunder. It's
all
money.
over social. You can't miss it.
It's money, dude. It's money. And now the ratings don't lie. Britt and Nyla absolutely brought it this week.
They tore the house down for sure.
Bonds, I listened to you guys as this last week's show of Dynamite Download progressed. I, as somebody who was on the outside listening in for the first time, I heard you guys really the show got better and better, and you guys hit your stride in that women's match, and there's no doubt why that match felt legit. It
was.
Bonds, you mentioned it. It tested Britt's ability to adapt in the ring, and so what I want to see now, you're gonna be shocked. I want to see Thunder in this next round somehow have Britt get involved in that match. And we need to see that integration of that feud. And I think that it would be a perfect addition to the pay-per-view, as if this pay-per-view card already needs it, right? Having a tag match would still save that one-on-one that we want so bad. Have Maddie save Thunder from a beatdown, right?
What pay-per-view are we talking about?
Well, this upcoming one, I think you could do it that tag match.
That Revolution?
Oh, God.
I appreciate the try, Mike.
No, as you said, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think a tag match.
I think Maddie saves Thunder from a beatdown from Britt and Rebel, and then immediately you have a tag match right there. And SPD, you brought that idea up for a reason. It makes a lot of sense with how personal Britt's beatdown of Maddie was, and Maddie talked about that to us.
Oh, what did Mindrunner just say?
Oh God, guys.
I'm gonna make a second drink.
This is how I know we're only 10 minutes in. This is how I see it kind of playing out. I think Thunder, to keep the momentum and establishing her dominance, takes the victory on Rio. Then the more meaningful match, the finals of the US, Britt has some stuff on TV. Granted, these Bleacher Report and all that stuff are good exposure. We put it on Dynamite.
Agreed.
Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. It's Monday night is the US finals. Dang, I was hoping it was. But anyways, this U.S. finals should have the interference.
That's
costing Thunder. And then, you could have Maddie save, or you can just have a challenge and for Revolution, because, enough is enough. Like, stop being this, like, antagonizing, behind my back, cheat to win type of person.
Well,
meet me in the ring one-on-one.
That's what Maddie talked about in the interview, right? Yeah, Maddie talked about it. Like, Britt talks a lot of trash, but like she always does she attacked Maddie before her match, right? Well, I agree with you, SPD. I think if you have Thunder advance against Riho, that's a huge win for Thunder. Huge. And I know Bonds, you'd agree on that.
Yeah.
And then
that is a pay-per-view main event quality match as well.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. And then what ends up happening is you get Thunder versus Nyla, right? You have Thunder fight from the underdog role against the beast Nyla, and Nyla was that tweener role, right? But you have her lean into her heel tactics a little bit more against Thunder, right? And then Britt and Rebel. Can you imagine the visual of Britt, Rebel, and Nyla like attacking Thunder in that role, like just taking cheap shots on Thunder after a fight with Nyla Rose? Like, how low can you get, right? That's perfect Britt Baker, right? Like, you have Nyla getting this war with Thunder, and you have Britt and Rebel get involved, and like that would be perfect dastardly heel. Get the heat on her again. It'd be great. And then Maddie tries to make the save, whatever. It would be. I mean, there's so much that the point is. There's so much we can do in this AEW women's division. And yes, like, Britt Baker is absolutely, to me, still the top star. I think it's great to see her get recognized as such. We have been pushing that hard here for a long time before it was cool. But it's nice to see Nyla Rose back. It's nice. It's nice to see Riho back. I had some great conversations with people on Twitter this week, and I had plenty of time. And a lot of people were giving Serena Deeb some love, and it's like, wow, you start rattling off these names, and all of a sudden, the AEW women's division's not in dire straits anymore, right? Like, you have some legit stars in this division, like. I mean, Nyla Rose made a massive impact, and as bummed as I was to see Britt lose, Nyla looked like a beast, dude. Like, so whatever, right?
The division missed her a lot, and it showed why she was a former champ and how impactful she is in the ring. And I think, the whole tag idea is very intriguing, and I really, really like it because, Reba. We've seen her in the ring a little bit, but I don't think she's at this point strong enough to carry her own one-on-one. So that way you can blend these new stars like Reba and Maddie with their essential higher stars can really help elevate them even more. But we had a question about, a women's tag division, and I don't think it's yet. Yeah, it's not strong enough yet. I mean, you had that tag tournament, and it didn't really do as well as I expected it to do, and I don't think there's enough established women's teams.
No way.
Or if really any. There's a ton of single stars, and you just keep it a singles division now and throw in some random tag matches of the women's division like this. This makes perfect sense to have Thunder and Maddie teaming up against Britt and Reba. Excuse me. And
no,
I think it was
it's
absolutely
Rebel, not Reba. Check her Twitter handle. It's Rebel, not Reba.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a perfect audible by AEW because they just created more storylines down the line. You throw in, Anna Jay got hurt. Okay, yes, that would have been an outstanding match. We were really looking forward to Anna Jay with versus Britt Baker. That would have been an outstanding match. But then you throw in Maddie. A lot of people are like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Wait for a few more weeks. The whole big picture is going to come together, and they're going to say that makes perfect sense. You know, it even made perfect sense. Even if they don't do a tag match down the line, having her put the face paint on her and really establish that to about the Thunder, like that made it even worthwhile just to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for it.
I think that listening to you, SPD, like I'm right in lockstep with you, brother. It's nice to be back. But listening to that question, I think we all unanimously said, no, the division's not deep enough yet. Let's slow down, right? But that question makes me start thinking about other questions. And that being like, okay, the trios championship has always kind of been like this elephant in the room that AEW fans like, okay, dude, let's admit there's a lot of tandem wrestling on AEW. I love that. There are a lot of people who don't, but I love that. And I know that other people love that too. And I think that we've already talked about this as a trio ourselves, right? We're trios. Yep. There's a lot of potential in a trios division in AEW. I think that's a no-brainer. But Bonds, you got tagged in something this week in a booking by Bonds. You tagged me back in, and you were saying, hey, like, maybe this is something we chat about. So I would want to point this out, and I'm going to put it as a this or that. Yeah. SPD, Bonds. What do you think is more, I guess, natural at this stage of AEW? A cruiserweight division, which has some major names that Bonds, I'm going to let you take that argument. And SPD, a trios division. You and I have talked about a trios division basically since like October of last year, right? Yeah. Like, so why don't Bonzi take it away? You got tagged in that question, and I think that really piqued your interest, and that's what I want to hear your take on it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential for a cruiserweight division in AEW. We have a lot of under 200-pound wrestlers that are really talented. I even mentioned a few, Orange Cassidy is one of them, Private Party, both of them, the Martin brothers. And these guys are all tag teams. You know what I mean? So you have all these teams that can also be involved in cruiserweight matches as well.
Phoenix.
So you have this huge group of guys. You have Ray Phoenix is one of
Darby.
them. Darby again. And and the question was raised as, would you transition the TNT title to that? I wouldn't do that. I would have both. I think that's smart, especially considering like the best belt, the FTW belt, isn't considered a real belt yet. So we have exactly. So until that happens, I think that adding belts is a great idea. And Marco Stunt, exactly. We could have that could be his belt as well.
Hey, dude, honestly.
That's the division for him to be in.
Disrespectful. Like, let's not be disrespectful to Marco.
No, at all.
And honestly,
that's exactly where he needs to go. That's what would legitimize him to a lot of people is having a cruiserweight division. Because part of the problem, and this isn't an insult to him at all. Part of the problem is it's hard to believe that he could beat somebody up that's so much bigger than him sometimes. Because
it's not unique just to him, Bonds.
But he was mentioned. That's for a lot of people. We have the same problem with Darby.
Kip Sabian, right? SPD struggled with that with Darby's run for a long time, right? Kip Sabian is somebody who, like, I think is incredibly talented. Kip is actually quite talented, and when he's with Miro and Penelope, he could do something well, right? But he's not going to beat Lance Archer.
No,
like it's just not going to happen.
It separates the talent. It gives smaller talent something for them to go after. That's easier for us to recognize as being possible. We have a problem. Like, there are people on the internet, and I'm not saying us, but there are people that have a problem with Darby being the TNT champion because of how he got ragdolled by Brian Cage. And if he was the cruiserweight champion and he couldn't wrestle people like Brian Cage, or if those people couldn't go after him, that would legitimize that title, and that would legitimize him as a champion to a lot more people. And I think that that's something that you have to really think about, because there's so many cruiserweights. Jack Evans, Angelico, all these guys are smaller guys.
Run them off, bro. This roster has so many that fall into that category.
Most of the roster is cruiserweights.
And can you imagine the type of matches that you could get out of result? Like if you literally threw like Kip versus like Isaiah Cassidy with how we've seen like, these types of like matchups, you just throw some of these talents. Orange Cassidy could get some more exposure with guys who are more his size. Darby could get exposure. We saw how different of a wrestler Darby was when he went up against Joey Janela.
Against Joey Janela, that was a great match.
That match made me eat my words, right?
Yep,
It did. And it made me respect Darby in a different light. And I know like that would be such a nice change of pace with how much more television AEW and like not just TV time, because Tony did say another primetime show would come out.
Yep.
But their utilization of YouTube, they're like the expansion with Paul White coming on board with the new show, right? Like you could use some of that open space for something like this. And I think that's such a great idea.
Well, because you could have a lot of matches on Dark or the other Dark shows that they're having, and then you could bring them on to Dynamite because Tony already said that these matches are canon. Like they count. Your wins on them count. You could have somebody win 10 matches on Dark and then challenge for a cruiserweight title and somebody out of nowhere, and it'd be really entertaining television.
You could have some like Sean Dean. There's so many guys on this roster that like
the deal.
You could have guys like that, and even like throw out one of the Gunn brothers in there, dude. Like those kids are working their butts off for AEW right now.
Absolutely.
Give them a shot at a cruiserweight belt. Why not? Right? Like, I love that idea. SPD, I'll let you tap into the trios because I want to hear your guys' arguments because we only get one choice. I want the fans out there to decide trios or cruiserweight.
So this is why I want a quick rebuttal on the cruiserweight. I think that the typical AEW roster is not stacked with big men like a typical WWE. So you have average size guys being champs and going, Kenny Omega is not a huge guy. He's a champ in any level worldwide, but we don't have a fully stacked roster of, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman's and things like that, like WWE does. So to do a cruiserweight, you'd have to do kind of a more extreme. 200 pounds is. I weigh 205, and
way to brag.
So people like Sean Dean, people like
you only get one, Lori.
But I feel like to do a cruiserweight would really kind of pull away. Like you just saw Orange Cassidy, versus Chris Jericho. You could throw, if you want to do a typical cruiserweight, Orange Cassidy would be in that, but he's a star. He deserves to be on the main roster. Pac was in 205. He is not a cruiserweight eyeball. He is a world heavyweight champion contender.
Preach, brother.
24/7.
King Neville was my jam, dude. Neville was amazing.
Me personally, I would pick the trios over cruiserweight because AEW is so stacked with tag team, and tag team wrestling is kind of what they're built off of.
Rattle off some of those teams.
Yeah, you got the Death Triangle for one, obviously. You could throw in the Kingston, Butcher, and Blade. You can throw any trio of the Inner Circle. You could throw any trio from the Nightmare Family. Now, Matt Hardy brand is growing, so Matt Hardy could be with Private Party as a trios brand, or TH2, the Debt Collectors, which we've seen time and time again. You could throw the Gun Club in there, Jurassic Express. Thank you, Brian. Now FTR with Tully. So like, it just, you go on and on and on. There's more star power and more draw to me with a trios champion than a cruiserweight. But the best of both worlds, ultimately, like you said, Mindrunner, would be both.
In the end, we get both, and we're all happy. But I'm just saying,
I'm picking trios for now.
Why not have a little debate? And I think the idea at this point, Bonds, who do you think wins?
I would love a trios belt personally.
Okay, we're all on board. Trios first, then I guess. All right.
Yeah.
SPD, your argument was very convincing. I think that when you do look at the overall stack of the roster, that is a good point by you. I think that the AEW is definitely growing when it comes to big men. We got Nick Camarado, who's still young, right? Young. Hager's actually a pretty big boy, and I think when I think a lot of people were like, oh, why is he fighting Brandon Cutler this week and all this stuff? And it's like, well, dude, you look at some of the clotheslines that boy can throw and suplexes that dude can throw. Like, so it's nice to feature that. Like, I can't wait to see Miro get in the ring again. Like,
Mhm.
come on. And how bad have we been wanting to see Wardlow? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they do need to start making some room for some of these big fellas on this show, though, dude. I mean, like, you got to get some of these. Like, dude, at some point, you got to admit, having those, like, having a Wardlow out there, Miro, Bonds, you made such a great argument about it last time. Miro needs to be on TV more, bro. Like, I understand now that I think about it, though, like when Tony talked about, this setup for the pay-per-view and how he pays a certain amount of guarantees per appearance, I do understand why they've been integrating in like some of these, like Miro's not wrestling every week, guys. You know how expensive that would be? Like, you gotta understand and appreciate that they're in the middle of a pandemic. And I think AEW is navigating this time period really, really well. What's really cool today is I saw, did you see Revolution sold out today?
Yeah, congratulations.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that awesome? Like, that
I think
is
it's
so
great.
great.
The wrestlers are going to definitely feed off the emotion, and TK I think will kind of push the envelope to have some late release tickets as well. I'm sure he's done that before in the past, where he's like, "Oh, we recently released 200 more safely positive tickets, or safely potted tickets." Yep, Mindrunner. All right, we'll do it. Cheers, Revolution. You said it.
Oh gosh, I need to get a refill.
But in 1 second, so when we were there live, there was definitely more capacity. It wasn't. It's hard for some people to go to a show on a weekday. That's for sure.
Yep.
So a weekend show,
We were blessed.
pay-per-view with a absolute stacked card with 8+ matches probably going to happen. It's more appealing for people to go and see live. That being said, when we were there was definitely more room for more fans. They have essentially 3 tiers. The first tier is blocked off for family, friends, like non-sellable tickets. The second tier, they have the sellable tickets, and they have the balcony seats, which are actually pretty good seats as well, which was barely occupied when we were there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Revolution is going to be a packed house. Oh gosh.
Oh man, I'm empty. We're just getting SPD now, guys. I mean, that's fine by me. That's fine by me.
So I think I'm really happy for that. And, I told you earlier, Crayfish, that Double or Nothing we're going to try to go to no matter what, depending on work and stuff. But Double or Nothing seems like more appealing. Did you go to All Out or Double or Nothing?
I went to All Out in Chicago.
Okay. You never know. I mean, Double or Nothing was last year in May. Since Revolution, oh gosh.
Damn, dude. All right. You know what?
That was an accident. It was pushed back. Maybe
keep...
Double or Nothing will be going through June. But all right, we'll go get your refill.
All right. While we're dancing, I want to get a couple questions from the audience. We're going to transition into a fan question. So if you have something after watching this with us, throw it out there, guys and gals. We're going to.
Yeah, I think the next big question is, we've talked about it a little bit, Bonds, a couple nights ago, but Paul White, he is all elite.
Woo!
I want to pull up that graphic for sure. So I think this is a perfect place to put it. We'll find out a lot more on the 15th. Or wait, is it this? When are they doing it?
He's going to be on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, on Wednesday we're going to find out more.
Yeah.
So Paul White, a.k.a. The Big Show, is all elite. And that is ginormous news, not just because he is the biggest wrestler on the planet right now.
World's biggest athlete. Yeah.
World's biggest athlete for sure.
Yeah.
But I think this is very intriguing because if you read the press release, not only he's going to be the commentary on the new show on Mondays, but they didn't rule out an in-ring return. So, we had a nice comment that if Cody was hurt, then you can have, this is your perfect replacement. We talked about a few Friday Night Flights and fights ago, how Cody, if he was actually hurt, which we believe he's not hurt because he's still advertised for the upcoming pay-per-view.
Yeah.
In the ladder match.
Job. Nice job.
So I don't think they would give that. It seems like kind of too big of a swerve to be like, oh, he's hurt from a previous injury. Why would you book him at the pay-per-view as well, like back to back? So it seems like he's fine. So, but Paul White, Bonds and I were kind of going back and forth. We tabled the idea. If he were to be an in-ring return, would he be a singles or would he be kind of like the typical veteran where he's, the mentor essentially for a up-and-coming star? And if he's that, who would it be? Okay. Who would you pick him as his, partner, whether it be a tag partner or his mentor or manager? Yep. Who would you see that in AEW right now on the roster?
Yeah, I heard you guys kind of chatting a little bit about that, and I think it's one of those things where we let's talk about it in an environment like this where we can just bounce things off each other.
Sure.
The first thing that I want to throw out there is something kind of cool that I noticed that somebody posted out there in the Twitterverse, and I apologize for not giving you credit for it, but that Paul White could become the first and only person who could become the ECW, WCW, WWE, and AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He could be the only person to ever be able to do that.
Was Jericho WCW champ?
Yeah, but he was never ECW champ.
But he was in ECW, right?
Yeah, but he was never ECW Heavyweight champ. Big Show, Paul White, the Giant, whatever you call him over the course of his career, you could that is a really amazing. Wow, that is that's kind of humbling. Like, holy smokes, that's amazing. So if he could do that, what a legacy he would build for himself. That is something incredible. The man already has a great legacy, and I think that's what I love about AEW is that they recognize that legacy equals nostalgia. Legacy equals memories, right? So we have a lifetime of memories with some of these characters. And it's great to keep them around, right? Yeah. But you don't have to have them wrestle all the time. Like the WWE did that with The Undertaker for a long time, right? And the difference between what AEW is doing and what the WWE did was that they have their veterans paired with young talent that is building the next generation. WWE, I watched countless times. They could have made Bray Wyatt. They could have made Bray Wyatt with a beat you don't there were so many opportunities that WWE's had to use their veterans to be in tandems to allow the spotlight to shine on the younger generation. And you see AEW's doing that. Like Jericho we could talk countless times. Jericho is with MJF. We could talk all about that. So the importance of what I think AEW is going to do here is they're going to definitely utilize Paul White's personality and talents and knowledge and experience in this business to help the next generation and the future of this company. Because AEW is young, dude. Tony's young. Tony could do this for another 30 years if he wants to. Right, and he'll have plenty of money to do it. He'll make all of our dreams come true. He already has in 2 years. Think about how many dreams he's making true right now. So, Paul White is a great addition. For me, I heard you guys debating: would you put him with another big man, or would you put him with maybe
Marco Stunt?
A small guy to kind of help get them over. Marco Stunt is what you said. That
I don't really believe Marco Stunt to be paired with him, but
Marco's doing his own
complete
thing.
Opposite,
He actually, dude, let's stop.
That was a great promo.
Marco, that promo that he cut, he was spitting fire. Bro.
I loved it. He was the most impressive of that whole on both teams, man. He was surprising.
Hey, whoa!
No, hey. I heard.
Don't talk about Dax and Cash that way. So let's smack those glasses off your face.
I told Bonds that typically he sounds like a little boy, but he sounded like a man.
He's been working out, son.
he sounded like a man defending his team, and so it was great. But it's hard to say because you don't want to put, if you do pair up Paul White with someone, you want him to be a singles person or someone that is, like I mentioned varsity blondes. I don't know if that would work. Obviously, Paul White doesn't have hair, so no blondes with that, unless he dyed his.
If you're gonna name like our team like that, dude, like the team that came to my mind was TNT. Like you had Devon's boys. Like
that would be. You're right.
Really interesting.
That I like. Like those kids have looked pretty good.
I agree.
And those kids have looked pretty good to me, and I feel like that could be kind of cool. Like, I mean, Paul White having the history and like you could even introduce Devon, like have Devon come on for like a couple episodes. I know Tony could do it. Like I'm just spitballing randomly, but I think that would be a cool thing. Like Paul White like has respect for their dad, and boom, immediately, right? And those guys could be some bad dudes if they had a guy like Paul White backing them up. But if you're talking singles, man, is that tough? There's nobody that jumps out on the roster. I feel like, he's definitely going to interact with Matt Hardy at some point. I think that you're going to play off of those interactions. So that he's going to interact with him at some point. And probably he'll flirt with being heel or face, which is something that he does so well.
Right.
But I think that the best thing about it is going to be his addition in commentary. I'm looking forward to hearing his insight and analysis. I think wrestling benefits when you have good commentators, good personalities. Like he's a great personality. He can carry himself like outside of the ring. But with like the knowledge and respect for the business, I don't know. I think that he's going to do great. Like Taz is a great example. Like Jericho is so great on commentary. How many times do we talk about how much we love hearing Jericho special and not like commentate? Like, so you get. Even on NXT, like Wade Barrett is great on NXT, in my opinion. I think that Wade Barrett's great. I know he doesn't go by. I don't think he goes by Wade Barrett anymore, but he's great on commentary. And Beth Phoenix is on there, and they do a good job. I like seeing AEW like embrace a wrestler to give them a chance, and I think everybody knows. Ooh, that's a good pick, Mind Runner. That's a great pick. I think everybody knows
Booking
JR.
by Monrider.
The guy is creative genius.
Got to give the people what they want.
So I honestly think that like this is also a big money move by Tony, like bringing big like Paul White in and seeing like, okay, JR is not going to be around for the next 3 years, right? I think this his window here at AEW. I think that's fair. I think even he would say that, right? You got to retire sometime. You got to start finding who your next generation of commentators are, and if you're going to expand and get more shows, you need to like Excalibur can't be the guy who's going to do Japan and this and that and this. Like the dude is killing it, but like. You got to give him some other options too, right? Like, so I think that Paul White, I'm more interested to see him as a commentator than in ring, personally.
All right.
I agree. I'm excited about it. I love when they get active talent on commentary because it brings a different perspective to the matches. Even like legends, I loved Jerry Lawler back, before he kind of wore himself out in some ways, but I loved Jerry back in the day. And I think that when you have wrestlers that are also commentators, I listened to a match earlier with Randy Savage doing commentary. That was awesome. Oh, that was so awesome.
Jesse Ventura was awesome too. And dude,
there's so many, and it's like you get these guys in, and they have big personalities, like Big Show has. Big Show has a great personality, and so you get him in commentary. And I think that what you're saying about JR is true, Mike, because they're kind of testing their waters with some guys. You see Taz doing commentary once in a while. You see Chris Jericho do commentary once in a while. Ricky Starks does commentary on Dark, and he's young. He's not even 30 years old. He's doing commentary. They have a lot of guys that they can kind of they're testing the waters with, I think, and it's entertaining and really good, and gives them a different voice. You're not seeing the same people on commentary every week, and it doesn't get stale that way.
Bro.
Big Show, I think that'll just be a great addition to the commentary team. And whether or not he wrestles very much, that's, I don't necessarily want to see him in the ring all the time. If he wrestles once in a while, that'd be fine. The guy's pushing 50 years old, so I don't think that's probably smart to have him in the ring all the time. But you know, he's not Chris Jericho. He's a bigger guy. It's harder to wrestle when you're that tall,
For
when
sure.
you're that age. You know what I mean? So I totally get that. But I think on commentary, that's a great choice. And I think that was a really savvy pick by Tony. Very savvy pick.
You can really have him if he wants to go heel. He'd be great at selling and really establishing someone as a pure dominant. You know, if like for some reason Lance Archer, which he's a hot topic of Dynamite Download.
If he punched Jake the Snake in the face, knocked him out, and took Lance Archer's took him over his spot as Lance Archer's mentor.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. No, you have Paul White as
Knock
a
him out
heel
match.
and Lance Archer take down Paul White to really continue to elevate Lance Archer as a pure dominant big guy.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's how I would book it. I don't think Lance Archer needs a manager anymore. You know, we've talked about that. Jake the Snake, he is what he is. He played a great role in
early
Lance Archer's debut.
Yeah,
and it
his
just
promo was amazing. His first promo. Oh,
and so
Caesar. Caesar. Yeah.
So I don't know, you know, it's fine, you know, obviously other than last week with Ray Phoenix jumping over Jake the Snake, you know, he's kind of just been put on the back burner, which slowly maybe you kind of just wean him out, or does Jake the Snake kind of turn on him and then add a little more storyline? But Lance Archer is a man on a mission, and I don't know who's going to stop him right now.
You just want to talk about Lance Archer for a little bit?
Sure, why not?
Get it out of your system.
I mean, how about that main event, man? I mean,
Get
two
it out
of
of
my
your
absolute
system,
favorite. I love Kenny Omega, and I've loved him for since AEW started, because I didn't watch much of him before. But the past 3 months, I would say Lance Archer and Ray Phoenix are the top two guys, in my opinion, that deserve the world. I mean, that's a good question, you know, because I think ultimately Ray Phoenix will get thrown into this match, because if he's not on the card at Revolution,
I'll drink to that, bro.
he deserves, because Ray Phoenix is outstanding, man. If Ray Phoenix needs to be on the card, so you know, where do you put him? Where would you put him? Because his brother's already in the ladder match. It's fair and right for him to be in there too. You could have some brother tandem reuniting and then kind of go face to face because they've had a battle before, and then ultimately they can, you know, transition back into being in a tag team. You know, so also this is a good question. Ray Phoenix, Pac, Eddie Kingston, not advertised on Revolution. Oh shoot. Will they be there, and in what form? Those are three of your biggest stars in AEW.
Yeah, does the pay-per-view need it though? I mean, like I'm asking.
It doesn't. I mean, right now you look at it, it doesn't need it, but it's a shame that they're not there.
Yeah, but like I look at it, I'm starting to look at AEW in a different lens, because I think, you know, I'm on Twitter a lot, and there's so many, like, Twitter gets a lot of slack, but dude, you can also be great. Like, you can when you interact with people who you know are smart. Like, dude, people who get to interact with you, Bonds.
Yeah.
Like, they're interacting with a smart guy who looks at wrestling intelligently. I feel like I try to do the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like. I try not to rush to judgment. I try to support. Like, there's just focus on the stuff that I like, and I think I noticed I get like people give it likes, like posts that I did weeks ago. So I like doing that with people. I like interacting with smart, friendly, optimistic, cool people on Twitter, and you can build that. You can absolutely build your own community. So no, I think that, like, there's something to be said. Bonds, I'll let you jump in. But there's something to be said for the trajectory of the start of that stardom, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think going back to just, you can't have everybody on every show, unfortunately. You know, the roster is getting to a point, and I think the star power is getting to a point where you're going to start seeing guys left off cards.
Right.
And as unfortunate as it is that we might not see Eddie Kingston, we're going to have an awesome card.
Yes, exactly. I think that, like, I was looking at it more like UFC, right? Yeah. UFC, when I was really into UFC, they had some huge stars. Like George St. Pierre was one of my favorites, dude. I loved, like, but then, like, you had Silva, you had all these guys that were, like, awesome.
Yep.
But you can't have all of them on every pay-per-view.
That's why they're prize fighters. They're
You
prize
can't.
fighters. Yeah.
And you start to look at the talent pool that AEW has, and it's like, all right, dude, like they're trotting out Miro for this pay-per-view. They're trotting out like FTR. They're trotting out the Young Bucks. They're trotting out Jericho and MJF. They're trotting out Lance Archer, Cody. Like, how much more do you want from them? Like, okay, like there maybe Pac isn't on this, and I love Pac more than anybody in the world. He's my favorite wrestler. But is his storyline right now? Does he need to be on Revolution?
Right.
No,
Exactly.
he doesn't.
No. And that's fine. Like
That's okay. We'll see him at Double or Nothing when we're there, which will be phenomenal, and I'll be happy.
And you can't
Right?
talk for a week beforehand.
Yeah, you have to
Deal.
give your voice. You have to make Gollum juice, dude. Watch
Deal.
the Lord of the Rings commentary thing. They talk about it. It's like honey and hot water, a bunch of stuff. It's good for your throat. That's how Andy Serkis could do the voice every day, and that had to absolutely destroy his throat. So I'm sure it'll work
Thank
for you.
I will
Yeah,
do that. I will
sure.
definitely do that. I haven't. I have to redeem myself. That's for sure.
Do you think for the ladder match for the TNT, who do you think it's going to be a surprise that has not been on AEW TV?
Good question.
Or do you think it'll be someone that we haven't seen in a while?
Who are you thinking? You posed
Yeah.
that question. That's a great question. I mean,
it would be fun to see Pac show
No,
up because
of course.
him in a ladder match, if he did a freaking Black Arrow off the ladder or something.
who can like? But I would love that, right? Like you throw him in the ring with guys like Lance Archer and Penta and like Code. Like, dude, that match would be incredible. Scorpio, like. Dude, that match will be insane. If you throw Pac in that would be
I think it would
off the charts.
So here I'm going to predict. I'm going to
But who wins?
either say Pac or Sean Spears.
Ooh.
I like Sean
Because
Spears.
I love the Sean Spears Scorpio Sky feud.
Well, I
And
think that
fun.
who do you think will win that match? I guess like already like based off of right now, who's your favorite? Because I think that determines who you would want to put in. Like if I want it, like I don't know, like Pac becomes a favorite in that match, and if you already think that the winner is in there, you don't necessarily have to throw Pac in. You could throw up another guy who maybe could use the rub, use the time, and give them a shot, right? Who do you think is the favorite right now?
You know my answer.
It's probably the same answer as me.
I
Lance.
love it. I
And
love
Brian.
it. I love it. We'll drink to that, right, SPD? Go
I'll
ahead.
drink
That's
to
your
that
favorite
anytime.
guy.
Lounge daddies for life, baby.
Lounge daddies, baby. Lounge daddies.
He's just been on such a roll in the ring, I think. It's hard to not have him as the favorite, especially after the win over Ray Phoenix. Like, I think we're being completely honest when we say that these guys are the top two guys in AEW right now in the ring, and having him go over like that, especially in such an awesome match that ended literally in the last second of the show, to have, I don't know, it would be kind of an upset for me if he doesn't win, or at least something doesn't happen where he gets cost the win. I don't know. I think
it's easy. These type of matches are easy to not have people involved in it look weak or lose momentum. So if Lance doesn't win, which you make a good point, obviously we all want him to win, but it doesn't make sense for him to win. Go for the
I
TNT
disagree.
Wise. I don't know. So I don't think anyone losing this match will not look weak because there's so much involved.
Is this match for the TNT, a shot at the TNT
Yes.
championship?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So with that in mind, like who is the most compelling opponent for Darby? I mean, that
not
is
Cody again. That's not going to happen again, probably. I mean, Scorpio Sky hasn't been on Dynamite in forever. That might be interesting just because it'd be just like a swerve almost, but I don't think that that's the case. Penta's been hurt, so Penta hasn't been on television. Archer's been on fire, and that's right now the four we know that are
throw Archer against Darby.
You have Caster or 10, which we believe 10 is going to take the victory because it would be nice to build momentum with him. You know,
absolutely.
I don't think Caster needs the momentum as a singles right now. So
the Acclaimed are too good.
They're great as a team. We don't want them to. Yep.
Throw it up. And so I think 10 is going to be involved. So you have Archer, 10, Scorpio Sky, Cody, Penta. That is going to be an outstanding blend of talent. And then
Wow.
the last one will be a surprise. So maybe the surprise wins, because we've seen in the past surprises take
Brian
the victory.
Cage. Yep.
So that being
That's a good
said,
call.
any of those don't necessarily make sense. Well, I mean, it would be fun to have 10 feud with Darby, but do you think the winner of this would dethrone Darby, or do you think Darby's run is going to be extended longer?
I think we'll know by who wins.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of.
What if you put the surprise? I said put the surprise as Powerhouse Hobbs, and then have him win.
That'd be sweet.
Keep that feud going.
That'd be sweet.
Keep the Team Taz intertwining. Yeah,
That's a smart idea.
Yeah.
That's a very smart idea.
Aha!
Aha!
If you see
We're
Coming to America.
not done with you yet. You thought you were done with us. That's a great idea. That's a
Powerhouse Hobbs.
That's
We'll
a
find out
great
in a little
idea.
over a week.
Darby and Sting win, and then Hobbs wins that, and then
So it's still going.
and then Taz says, "You stupid, you stupid punk, like you thought you were done with us. You ain't seen nothing yet." And Powerhouse Hobbs is unleashed, and we've seen what he can do to like if you throw him in the ring with a smaller dude, and like we've seen him just ragdoll Darby, like just surprise winner is Hook.
Gets his revenge after this week's show.
Team Taz all the way.
So here's the thing. I posted on Twitter a poll today of the 3 matches that are title matches. Which ones do you think, if any, will have gold change hands? You have the women's match, which is still TBD who it's going to be against. You have the tag match, Young Bucks versus Inner Circle. Then you have the World Heavyweight Champion, Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, with a barbed wire death match. So do you think any, and if so, which one?
I think we could all probably say Sheeta right now, because she just hasn't been on television in a while. I know she's doing the tournament, but I think that would make sense. Maybe have her start feuding again when she comes back with somebody who beat her, whoever it ends up being. And I also could see that the tag titles changing. I could see both of those change. I don't really think that Kenny's going to lose the championship that fast.
2021 is the year of Kenny
right
Omega. Kenny Omega and Don Callis is the year of 2021 for sure.
Exactly. So I think that either of those other ones could switch, though. I definitely do.
Yeah, I think that if I had to rank them in like the way I feel most confident, I feel like Kenny is not losing, even though I love Jon Moxley's promos. Like, dude, he gives. Say it again. Go ahead.
You keep talking. I'll pull up the video.
Okay. Honest to God, like Jon Moxley's promos, man. Like when we were there live, I found myself just leaning forward like this, just wanting to get closer to hear him speak.
That's awesome.
He just gives me that dude can sell a match and sell emotion because it's true. Like when you get on YouTube and you look up Jon Moxley, like you're gonna see this guy has been willing to give everything to be a wrestler, everything.
Yep.
And so it's amazing to see his dreams come true like this. And like he's just a kid from Ohio, dude. Like he's just a kid from Ohio that made it. And it's pretty sweet.
That's from when we were there.
Woo! That is just nobody.
I put that on our YouTube channel of the intro of the trios, Ray, Lance, and Jon Moxley. So.
Nobody does it like Justin Roberts, no doubt. But to me, dude, like I just feel like Kenny. Even though all that said, Kenny's not losing the belt. So I feel the most confident that Kenny's not going to lose. And then like, dude, I would love to see MJF and Jericho win the tag titles. I think that those guys are hilarious. I think that you could keep that feud going a little bit further if you wanted to. I mean, honestly, where do the Young Bucks go after a personal feud like this? You're just gonna have them win and then like move on. Like you saw them beat up their dad and like come on, like that's personal. Like maybe you let this linger on past the pay-per-view a little bit. What's wrong with that? Like where do the Bucks go after MJF and Jericho anyway? So you make
they have the battle royal for the number one contender. That's where they go. So
yeah, but wouldn't it, like I feel like to me the Bucks are the Bucks are more compelling as chasers because they're just naturally you want to root for them. I don't know. To me, like and you have those kind of heels. You know what SPD, MJF and Jericho, what they're doing right now is gold. We don't want to see them break up. Honestly, the inner circle, if it starts to crumble, like, dude, let the last two guys on the ship be MJF and Jericho. Can we just let that happen?
That's a good point.
I mean, that would be beautiful to see it slowly crumble around them. But those guys are so good. Like, I just love those guys together. They're funny as it gets.
If you had booking by SPD, this is how I would book it: is that you have Santana Ortiz win earlier in the Battle Royal in the show, and then yes, you have Chris Jericho and MJF. The Drizzling Shits are endorsing this for sure. The tag titles, because honestly, I love the Young Bucks, and I've said it time and time again. I'll say it every single time. They're the best tag team in the world, and they're so fun. And if you have the Good Brothers possibly spoil this win and for them in some way, I think the Young Bucks title reign has kind of been sadly a little bit anticlimactic in its sense of it started off kind of strong. It had an outstanding match versus FTR. They put over some young teams, and then it kind of fizzled out. It fizzled out a little bit. So I don't know if there's any injuries or anything like that, but this whole Bullet Club Good Brothers thing, it's cool because they're all wearing gold. But then if the Good Brothers kind of cost them, then they can feud with that. And I think that'll be a nice crossover for that and be more beneficial than to continue to defend their titles. When you put the titles on MJF and Chris Jericho, yes, this is just going to be even more must-see TV. These guys are absolutely pure gold. They're going to just, be these such huge egotistic maniacs. And then ultimately, I think Santana Ortiz can take him from him either with a Sammy.
There you go.
I'm going back to when I said a few weeks ago. I think Sammy will cost MJF and Jericho their title shot or their title match. But now that I'm thinking it through, I think it's even more beneficial that it would cost him the title shot versus Santana Ortiz and MJF and Jericho. I think that would be more beneficial. You keep Sammy off for even longer. This is still fresh. He quit the Inner Circle a couple weeks ago at most. So if he shows up next week at Revolution,
I love this SPD.
I think it's too soon.
It's coming together for you.
This
as
is
you're talking through it
by SPD right here for sure. So I think, I think you have MJ. So to wrap it all together, Santana Ortiz is going to win the Battle Royal for the number one contenders. MJF and Jericho are going to win the titles, but gold on their waist. And the first gold in MJF, a perfect time. His mentor, Chris Jericho, they're going to share gold. And then it's going to ultimately be cost because of the Good Brothers. Then when they do come to head, you have this ride out. You have it right. Unfortunately, I don't want to see Sammy off TV for that long, but let's say you have it right out for a month, 2 months, even ride it out to double or nothing. Okay. You don't see Sammy. And then he ultimately costs MJF and Chris Jericho the titles to Santana Ortiz to put the gold on the waist that we've all been wanting. If I wasn't proud, I would be powerful.
People would mark out so hard if Santana Ortiz finally get that opportunity and win, because so many people are clamoring for those boys to get a run, right?
That's a perfect booking.
And you hold off on that because everybody is expecting right now Sammy's going to cost MJF and Jericho the shot. He's going to get back at MJF, and that's going to be Sammy's blow up moment as a face. Bro, you killed it. You're so right on. Like, slow play it. Put those breadcrumbs, bro. Get those breadcrumbs.
The whiskey talking. That's what happens. This was us working it through, as we're talking it out. It makes so much sense. I think that could be, yes, the main event is going to be the talk of the town after this, but you have this bigger picture storyline of the Inner Circle, which is the number one group in AEW. This would elevate them back to what we've seen 6, 8, 10 months ago.
And it's so much more meaningful when MJF and Jericho already have the gold and they lose it. They lose it, right? they lose it to Santana and Ortiz. That's
Lose to their own stable.
beautiful story, long-term storytelling, which AEW loves to do. You finally have that payoff for Sammy, and then that's the stake in the heart to MJF and Jericho and Santana, Ortiz, Sammy, and maybe the Trinidad, who everybody's talking about. Maybe they start a new group, right? Like, oh, can you imagine? Like, maybe they become the new Inner Circle. Jericho's on the outside looking in. That would be interesting. Jericho. Then imagine it could potentially be Jericho, MJF, Wardlow, and Hager.
Sorry, that's the Proud and Powerful.
I love
Jericho,
that.
Hager, and Wardlow.
You could eventually have it be Jericho, MJF, Hager, and Wardlow versus Sammy, Santana, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston. Maybe you throw somebody else in there who becomes a partner. It would be very, very interesting. I don't know, dude. I think that there's a lot.
I'm excited thinking about that.
Great idea. And let's throw that Santana Ortiz song on, because you can't give me a tease like that while I'm mid conversation. Expect me to be able to do that. That song's one of the best songs in AEW. I love AEW.
I don't hear it more.
Get stuck in my head, dude.
If I wasn't proud, then I wouldn't be powerful. Yo, put your hands up. We don't do the gang signs. I'm proud. Let me show you how.
Oh man,
are they legit?
Great
dude.
booking for sure.
I feel like I'm in the dog pound again, dog. Represent.
Yeah, you guys Cleveland boys over there.
Yep.
What's up, Brett?
Man.
What's up, Brett?
Let's
go Browns.
I am smiling for that one. That would be some great stuff right there. I love the Young Bucks, but I think it would be change the landscape in the good way for that to happen.
And I agree with you. There is something that seems a little off with the Bucks right now, man.
It does. I don't know why.
I liked their promo. Matt seemed really fired up, but I don't know, dude. Like it just didn't. Lately,
do you guys think Nick's leg is actually broken? Like, is that like we heard a couple weeks ago
doing those stuff with a broken?
I know, but I mean, he could have like some hairline thing going on, like where he can wrestle on it. Who knows? I don't think that he's hurt because he looks fine in the ring. But we heard that it was a big deal. Like they said, he broke his leg in this match, and then he's out there next week and he seems fine. But it's like that could be affecting them as well. They might want to pull that title quicker, and it might have changed their the trajectory on their. What's going on?
It's so hard to believe any of that stuff because
every week,
we heard Cody out 4 to 6 months, but now we hear Anna Jay out 6 months to a year. Like I don't know many injuries with a shoulder that are 6 months to a year out. Unless you're getting a whole new arm and being like a RoboCop. Like most rotator cuff stuff. Like yes, it's different when you're wrestling and being a physical athlete. I don't think a year is that. That's a lot.
My brother's a power lifter, and he was back to lifting in 3 months.
He had torn rotator?
Yeah.
Do we know what exact injury she had? Typical shoulder injuries, that's a very, very common shoulder injury. And you can get the laparoscopic surgery and, so we'll find out more, I guess, hopefully.
Trust him. He's a nurse. You're speaking truths right now, man. You sound very clinical. Very nice.
Right.
Done. Very nicely done.
So, I'm glad we talked, about the Maddie. We got the Britt Baker stuff out of the way. We got the Paul White stuff out of the way. The women's tournament, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this Sunday's show is going to be so fun to watch. Like we said, Thunder Rosa versus Rio could main event any card, any promotion worldwide. I mean, those are two of some of the best women's wrestlers in the world right there. And it's a crazy how stacked the U.S. side is, in my opinion. So that six woman tag match should be fun. It's cool. I'm glad they're doing that. It's a nice little addition to the card. You can't just have two matches on a YouTube or Bleacher Report show. I think to help extend it to make it an actual episode, as you can call it, is smart by AEW by doing that.
Absolutely.
So cheers to that. Gotta drink some water. All right, so we are Let's see, 9 days away from a huge the first pay-per-view of 2021, a stacked card. You know,
what's the card? What's the show?
I don't have a full card show, but the show is Revolution.
I'm drinking water now, fellas. I'm out.
I need to re-up. So I don't know if anyone's from Indianapolis or has been there, but St. Elmo's Steakhouse has their own blend of bourbon whiskey with infused dark cherry and bourbon vanilla beans. So it's going to top that off for a little bit. But of the matches that we know, which one do you think is going to be a stud and which one do you think is going to be a dud?
Wait, we don't talk like that on this show.
That's true. You're right. Which one are you?
Is going to be which one's going to be an elite and which one's going to be a delete,
right.
son? All right. So Bonds,
let's take the main event out of the picture because we all know that's going to be outstanding.
You think so?
Yeah.
You are like Mr. Crybaby when it comes to those.
Those are two of the best wrestlers in the world. They can fight in an outhouse.
But there's gonna be lots of blood, bro. You're gonna you have no idea what's coming.
That's why I'm wearing the sunglasses, so you don't know when I'm looking away.
Close your eyes. It was a great match. Thanks,
I loved it. I loved it. It was so good. I swear I watched the whole thing. No, dude, you're gonna be cringing so many times during that match. You have no idea what's in store for you, bro. Have you watched any CZW in your life?
No.
Okay. You should prepare yourself.
Oh gosh. I've seen all the Saw movies and those.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't like horror movies anymore. But anyway,
the difference is that Saw is fake, and these guys are gonna literally be like bleeding and cutting themselves with barbed wire and
electrocuting each other.
It's gonna be brutal. It's going to be brutal, dude.
Yeah.
I know that Kenny is so graceful and so good at what he does that he makes it look like, wow, this doesn't hurt him at all. But SPD, like John Moxley and Kenny Omega they're gonna hurt each other at Revolution.
I agree. Oh shoot.
They're gonna hurt each other at Revolution, bro. I mean, there's no way around that. They're
gonna need a couple of weeks off after that.
It's gonna be a violent match. It's gonna be beautifully done because they're both some of the most incredible storytellers in wrestling. And I know that's what you love about them, SPD, is like Moxley's ability to tell a story, Kenny's ability to like convey emotion and sell during a match is just second to, like he makes it look easy. These guys are gonna kill it, but I do think that it's going to be pretty brutal for you, bro. I do. I think that you're going to struggle at times to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't think you should say no doubt elite for you. I think that you might actually struggle with that match.
Okay.
Personally.
All right. We'll let's include the main event. What do you think is going to be your elite match of the night, and what do you think, unfortunately, might be your delete match of the night?
Okay. Bonds?
Well, I think my elite match is going to be the ladder match. I'm very excited about that match. I think the talent in that match just already is awesome. And in setting up for a TNT match with Darby, who's coming off probably his best match against a guy that's closer to his size that he's had in AEW with Joey Janela. That's his most recent match. I think that he's in a hot place right now as well because a lot of people really dug that match. A lot of people, including us, we all thought it was a great match.
Yep.
So I think that Darby's hot. I think that especially if they win, him and Sting, if they win, he's gonna be hot. Whoever wins that match is going to be winning against 5 other awesome competitors.
Hobbs.
And I think that it's going to be setting up a lot of stuff. And I think it's going to be an elite for sure. And the elite, man, that's tough. I'm excited about the card. That's way harder than the elite for me.
You think that the elite is really hard? I think that Mind Runner is going to name the favorite, right? And I think that has to probably be.
I love Miro though.
You do, and so that I think that the potential for me could be.
But you're probably right. It's probably the delete if there is one.
Either that,
I
or
have low expectations with that.
The women's match I have. I wonder what that finals will be. If they get cute with it, it could. I don't know. It could be, but I think that she is really good in the ring. So I think that will. I'll still enjoy that match no matter who her opponent is. Yeah, I think that Miro, that match, I think has the most pressure not to suck, right? I think that one has to be good.
Right.
What do you think happens in that? Do you think that Charles Taylor? I want that to happen. I liked Charles Taylor.
Me too.
I like
He's
Charles
better than Chuck Taylor.
I like Charles Taylor way more than Chuck Taylor. Like, why not? Let's make that happen. Let's make that a thing. Join Miro and Sabian and Penelope, and that would be phenomenal. And then eventually Trent comes back and he brings Charles up back from the dark side.
Trent's out, man. That shoulder injury.
That would be a long time.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
Down the road, let him be Charles for a while. I think that would be great. I don't know. But that match is probably the one that I have the lowest expectations for. The one I think I have the highest expectations for, I think that ladder match is going to be – I mean, anytime you get to see a ladder match, that's going to be just freaking awesome, right? And I think you get to see Lance Archer Bonds. You were talking about it. Like, I feel like you were like a little sports like columnist guy when you were talking about Lance Archer and like what a like incredible blend of brute strength, size. You were like, dude, how does a 6'10" guy do a senton and then like a backflip off the top rope? Like, how is that possible? Right. And he makes it look easy, right? And like,
yeah.
So I think that like Archer being in a ladder match, and then Cody, who we all here at Dynamite Download have said it from day one, dude, that guy's the cornerstone. He's the bar. Mm-hmm. He is the bar. You got Scorpio Sky, who I think like, dude, I've been waiting for AEW to give Scorpio a push because, you know, I kind of have heard through the grapevine that Tony really likes Scorpio. Like, he really and I knew that a long time ago. Like, I kind of heard, you know, some buzz from behind the scenes sources and stuff. And like, so I was expecting him to get that push. And you know, the SCU thing has fallen apart now. And now Scorpio is doing his podcast thing, which, hey, man, no more power to you. But I think people are going to be surprised at how good that dude is in the ring when he's in that kind of setting. I think that Matt Sydal would be really great in that match too, but I digress. I think that match with the variety of talents. I mean, Penta, we haven't seen him in forever. There's just so much talent in that match, and it's a ladder match. I think it's gonna be jaw dropping. I think that's gonna be a match that we're all gonna have a lot of fun talking about. So. And I think it could be Lance Archer or like ascent to the top. That would be really fitting because we've watched him ascend like literally. This would be a very literal ascent for him. And it would be very fitting for what we've seen on AEW television for the last 2 months, right? I mean, it would just be a beautiful thing. Can you imagine him versus Darby Allin?
I can.
Yeah, I would.
He would talk. Awesome. Like that would be perfect for like the masochist Darby and the Murder Hawk monster to collide, and Lance to just throw Darby around. Man, that would be a beautiful thing. I don't know. I just think that match is going to be great. I think that's going to be really. I mean,
I love that match because of the elements that are involved in it and the star power that's involved.
Adam
in
Cole,
throw him up. Yes. All right. Yeah, Pac would be totally badass for sure. We agree. 100%.
I digress. Anytime anybody talks about Pac, I got to be like, okay, give him credit. Yeah,
that's your drink word.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
But I agree. This one will be the one that I'm most excited for. But I mean, you know, like you said, Mind Runner, there's no bad match on here. I mean, a pay-per-view card is stacked full of them, and it's not to bring negativity or, you know, disappointment to any of them. But you're going to feature probably 60 plus superstars on a card when you throw in like the tag team battle royal. You know, I think that's going to be
I'm excited for that.
I'm extremely excited for that. You know, I mean, we haven't seen, sorry, I was trying to find the graphic for that, but we have a lot of teams announced already, but I think this will be a good like show opener. Cause it's always good to open shows that are a little bit crazy for sure. And this is where Santana Ortiz will go, and then you kind of draw it out throughout the show, and then where MJF and Chris Jericho win. But I agree with you guys. The ladder match, you know, the cinematic match, the street fight with Sting and Darby versus Team Taz is going to be interesting. I think it'll be fun, but I don't think it's going to steal the show. I could be wrong, but it's so hard for early card matches to be memorable when you have, you know, it's such a build and such a roller coaster throughout, you know, even on Dynamite. It's like we saw an awesome match with Hangman and Isaiah Cassidy last week, and this was
people forget about it.
You do.
They
but
shouldn't.
They
because
shouldn't.
It was an amazing
but it's
match.
easy to forget when you have
you're
something
right.
like
In the moment.
Archer. We have Nyla Rose and Britt Baker who
So
were just
true.
tore the house down, and then you have Lance Archer and Rey Fenix left us all speechless. So like those 3 matches were just like, and then you forgot Moxley was open the show, like, you know. So a pay-per-view that's a marathon. It's in a marathon for sure, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So ladder match.
Well said. Yeah,
I think we're all on board with the slow kind of. I'm trying to put this the nicest way possible. Slow, stale build of the Miro Kip, Orange Cassidy.
that's the nicest way you could put that.
I don't
Slow,
know, man.
stale build. Oh my god.
Oh,
I'd love to
gosh.
hear you try not to be nice on that one. My goodness.
I haven't been a fan of, I like Miro and Orange Cassidy and Best Friends, but I haven't been a fan of this feud. I came around to the Acclaimed. I came around to FTR and Jurassic Express, but this one, I'm still not. But we'll
That's
shift.
fair.
Yeah,
I can't disagree with you, bro. I mean, I get it. I think that a lot of people, even the most Bonds, like you and I are, we love Miro. We've
We have
loved
to
him.
ask ourselves if Miro wasn't Miro, would we be excited about the match? And that's what we have to ask. If he didn't have the previous run in WWE,
yeah,
would we be excited? And I don't know if I would be. So I guess I feel it, SPD. I do, because the build hasn't been there. The wedding interference was like a funny little side thing, and then it kind of, I don't know if it's a pay-per-view worthy match. I don't know. I get it.
Well, you remember where it started?
yeah, it's a video game.
Remind me.
Over a video game.
Was that like 2 years ago?
No, dude. It was like
You're right back.
it was
2
literally
years ago.
literally like they had the Best Friends had a tag match and they accidentally speared the video game console.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
And that was the start of the feud. And now it turned into this. So I don't know. I've tried to justify this at times, and I do think that the best wrestling is an extension of yourself. So they took that very literally. Miro is a gamer, so they took that very literally at first, which is a little like, okay. But I don't hate the Miro and Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford pairing.
I don't either. I think that would work.
Yeah, I think it works. I think that there's something like an element of the bulldog with the chihuahua and the poodle. Like you just look at those 3 dogs together. That's what they seem like to me. And that works. But this feud is very, very odd, and it's been odd since the beginning. And I think SPD's just been saying, like, can we please drag this horse out back and just shoot it in the head already? So the pay-per-view needs to be that ending for it, and let's move on. Let's let Miro be showcased in a way that Bonds. I mean, that's somebody who I think if they just did booking by Bonds for Miro, that's it, right? If Tony was like, all right, I'm really busy, dude. I'm really busy. I got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Bonds,
you're just going to handle Miro's stuff for a month, a couple months and
see where it goes.
See where it goes, buddy. And
yeah.
I'll give you like $1,000 a week. All right. Whatever. We'll make it.
Fine with that.
I'm sure you would.
Yep.
So, tell us how would you, because right now it feels like Miro, like you just said it, that's very damning what you said. If Miro wasn't Miro, would we care about what's going on with him at all? And maybe a little because Orange Cassidy's involved and Miro is a very imposing looking guy, but we naturally are rooting for this storyline to work because we like him. We're invested in him.
Yeah.
That said, dude, he's starting at, let's say the game is reset, right? Game's reset, Miro. Where would you take him, Bonds? And what would be a natural way to take him somewhere to reestablish him in a way that we know he should be?
I would love to give him a TNT title run. I think it's a perfect, that's their second tier championship. And I think building him through a TNT run would be really smart because you could build him as a monster against a lot of opponents. You could have it being a fighting belt, which it hasn't been. Darby's had 2 matches since he's won the title. And
True.
so you could have Miro on TV defending it every week, just blowing people up. And eventually, like, so think about it like this. And this is a few that you probably both remember. When John Cena was the US champion and he did the open challenge, and Kevin Owens made his main roster debut against John Cena, and he power bombed him and whooped his ass.
Yep.
And I think that would be like a nice way to do it. Similarly to that, you have him win the TNT title, you have him start beating people up, you have him start being a heel because he's entertaining as a heel. You have him do heel shit, and then you have somebody else that's his side.
Watch yourself, potty mouth.
Sorry, his stuff. You have somebody else that's a face that's imposing like him, go against him, and I think that would be interesting.
Could Wardlow be
that could end up being
could Wardlow be the man that eventually slays
right,
the big
maybe
bad
in
Miro?
6 months after Miro's had the title for 4 months, you have that happen, and that could be what goes on. I don't know if I would. I think he needs something to legitimize him. He needs some sort of gold, or he needs to have like a marquee win or something, because again, he's completely like, I don't think he's coasting. I think that the storyline just isn't working, and it feels like he's coasting because it's not working. And I think that's the problem. And if he has something where he's able to either win a title and kind of separate himself, and I don't think he even needs to separate himself from Kip and Penelope. I don't. I think that they're both entertaining, and I think they work. But I think that there has to be something that he's fighting for, and not just fighting against Orange Cassidy because he broke his video game.
Let him have goals. Let him be motivated.
Yeah.
Let him have a focus, like a focused Miro. We saw it with Lance Archer, dude. As soon as Lance Archer became focused and laser focused on like, all right, like, yeah, I've had big opportunities, I've lost, whatever. I'm coming back for it, dude. Like I'm not messing around. Like my career is not over just because I lost against Moxley. Just because I lost, like I had big opportunities. I lost. Doesn't matter. Like I'm coming. I'm not gonna just stay down.
Right.
And when you see like a big dude who's capable of what Miro is capable of,
we all know what he is,
and he's focused and he has a prize, dude. Like you're right. You're absolutely right. It would change the direction of his character.
Because what's he chasing right now? You talk about the Young Bucks. They're better when they're chasing. Miro is not chasing anything. He's chasing, I'm going to beat you up because you broke my video game. And he's already beat them up. And so it's already done. But it's continuing because of just interferences and the wedding thing. It feels like it's forced at this point. They're forcing the thing to continue. And I think it might be because Trent's hurt. That might be part of it. Right. They're kind of trying to make that feel less of impactful by having them continue the feud a little bit longer than it should. And that's very possible. But I don't know, man. It's tough because I try to justify it by saying like they're trying to build him as a different character. And I appreciate that, but he needs to do something in the ring. Like I said last week, he had that awesome moment at the end of a Dynamite where he just beat everybody up. And then nothing happened.
And that moment was like, awesome. We were so geeking out about that, dude. And it was violent, bro. Yeah, like that was bad. Yeah. Woo, that was intense. And then they just stopped.
It didn't, nothing followed up. He wasn't on TV the next week.
And Brian mentions Miro's a comedy act. Is that what they want him to be? Or do they want him to be this? What is it?
And he can be funny. That's fine. You can be funny and be good and still beat people up in the ring. But he doesn't do that enough. So you have to balance it. You can't have him just be funny guy who's also this monster that we know what he is because he had a big run in the biggest company in the world, the biggest wrestling company in the world.
But not the run that he could have had.
Right, he didn't, but he still had a big run there where he looked like a monster at times.
And my point is, yeah, you're right. The dude literally rode into WrestleMania on a tank.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've seen this dude break boards in half in NXT. Yeah. I know that Rusev crushed. I know what he's capable of, bro. I know. All right? But he had that glass ceiling in WWE. Where is that now that he's in the new pastures where he has nobody stopping him? Where is that anger and that fire to be like, all right, I could have and should have. During the peak of Rusev Day, he was so over that why did you not put like him like as your world champion? Why didn't you not give him a chance? Right?
Mhm.
Like why? So AEW, dude, Miro, if he like honestly, he looks like he's in the best shape he's been in a long time. Right?
Yeah.
When we start to, is it that they're holding off on all this stuff for live crowds? Is that what it is?
They can't.
Well,
you can't hold your
it's
breath for
taking-
something like that.
So you just think he's going to be SPD? You think he's just going to be kind of like, for a while, or what do you think?
It's hard to have him spark a massive jump from where he's at right now. I think with the roster the way it's at and the storylines that are shaping, I don't know what makes sense. I don't know how I'd book it personally.
Yeah,
I'm lost with him.
That's sad. You can't.
It is sad because I think he's got the world of potential. He's an awesome personality. I just don't know how I'd book him.
Booking by Bonds, that's where you come in.
Think about it. I mean, we know Bonds is passionate about Miro, so
Yeah. So Bonds, that's something that I think that could be a potential like future booking by Bonds, because the fans out there love hearing your takes on certain characters that we know you're passionate about. Miro's one of them. Team Taz, it's no wonder, like, you know, Team Taz is a big part of like a lot of your plans that you've talked about with Wardlow. The FTW title, you did great. You know, you did that really well. I would love to hear next week's show. I'd love to hear how you would change, because SPD, it's not like you to say I can't, like I know. You know, and Lance Archer should be the ultimate story to remind you that, like, dude, we watched him lose to Moxley, and we were both deflated, and we both were like, where does he go from here? So Bonds next week.
No, I say after Revolution.
I just got an idea though.
Oh shoot! I think you should do it after the pay-per-view, just so we can see how it plans out.
You're right.
So it's more of a depth storyline.
Good point.
Definitely, because
point.
What I just thought of. Well, Revolution needs to.
Oh geez,
that's true.
Yep.
Oh god, you're right. That's a good point, SPD. That's why you're Leo. Good point. All right, so
after the pay-per-view, Bonds, that's your homework, is to come up with a booking by Bonds of Miro. Where do you go from there? Because we all can collectively agree that we almost hope that this feud book is closed.
I agree.
So
I feel it.
All right. We'll as we're wrapping things down, I think we should
wrap it down, dude.
Wrap it down. Let's wrap it.
Let's wrap it down.
This is a lot of fun.
That's a news phrase. Wrap it down. We're the drizzling shits.
You said Revolution too much tonight.
Yeah.
Wrap it down, baby.
All right, let's wrap this baby down.
I think next week's going to be a jam-packed week. I mean, we're going to have hopefully another interview. Stay tuned for that, and we will have obviously Dynamite download, post Dynamite show, and we're going to do next week's Friday Night Flights and Fights is going to start off with a Revolution preview show where we break down the card, make our own predictions, and all that. So next week's Friday Night Flights, it's going to start off all Revolution preview show. We're going to break down the card, and we're going to make our own predictions one by one. We're each going to separately predict who's going to take which match, and any bold predictions. We're going to throw them up.
I love that.
And we'd love to hear all of your guys' input in the chat for sure. And then we'll just loosen things up, have a little bit of dance party going on, and our Friday Night Flights as we usually do. And so, but the last thing is, which we got a question.
We're going to end the
Brian.
show on this. This is the main event.
This is the main event right here. So if
this
you guys
is the
want to
main
start
event
a
of the
new
show.
promotion, who would your first three picks be? And because we are here at Dynamite Download, a AEW focused podcast and platform, I'm going to stick to AEW talent only.
Yeah,
and
I
so.
agree.
You guys, if you want to branch out to other platforms and all that,
Okay. I don't think so.
So I think, to be fair, you pick. I mean,
AEW
you can do whatever
only.
you want. We're gonna do AEW only, but I'm gonna do two men and one woman, just so you need to build a brand that way, in my opinion.
I agree. My mind went the same place.
So I'm going to say for my woman wrestler, Thunder Rosa, which I would build a brand around.
Okay.
Easy to root for, a champ, you know, great for as we've seen, on our Twitter recently, and Ryan was tagging us in some stuff. Just what she does outside of the ring
Agreed.
is just a great ambassador.
Absolutely.
You're kind of seeing John Cena-esque stuff out
I
of
agree.
her, and so I think that's very important to have a face like that to be out in the community. You have she's like a Brandy Rose is doing a perfect job of that. For that. So Thunder Rosa would be my first one.
Great pick.
I would also add Ricky Starks.
Wow, that is high praise, bro. Top 3.
No, this is just like you're branching off.
I know. That's very impressive. Very impressive. Yeah, because he's young. He's young. You're right. That's a great pick. Wow. We know you love it. Can you give us the Ricky Starks? I love it. You got to give the people what they want.
I'll give the people what they want. So just because, it would be smart if you're a business owner or a business creator to have like an established name.
Yeah.
So I think Ricky Starks would be your perfect heel to have on there, and he's a great talker, and he looks good on camera. And so, as we saw in that little Impact promo paid for by All Elite Wrestling by Tony Khan, we saw Ricky Starks on there. And oh gosh, man, I need to think of the third. Obviously, I would love Lance Archer on there, but I think you need someone more mainstream.
Okay.
Like I agree with you, Brian. Like, yes, Cody Rhodes is perfect for that. And so
Cody is the cornerstone, man.
So I would say Cody, Ricky, and Thunder.
Okay.
Those are awesome picks, dude.
Those are all great. I mean, if you don't mind, I'll comment. I think that because everyone you named, I'm not naming one of them.
Wow.
So I respect all those picks quite a bit. I think that
respect the cut.
I think that Thunder Rosa, you nailed that. You're absolutely right. When it comes to it, I think that Britt's story is even a testimony to what Thunder is doing, because it is so much harder to get over as a baby face, because you have to live that. You have to live, all of us are flawed, so it's easy to be the bad guy, but to live and to shape and to be real and be a good person, and to be somebody who you want to rally behind. Thunder Rosa, you nailed that. And she would, I think that I've been so impressed by her in the ring and outside the ring. It's so if you had a daughter, who better of a role model than Thunder Rosa? Honestly, her journey, her passion, her strength. That's a great pick by you. Ricky Starks, dude, that guy oozes star power. To me, I look at him as your super charismatic television champion. I think that he needs
to be a TNT champion.
I think that he just oozes that, and that belt screams Ricky, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But my picks, I think I'm shocked that you did not name Kenny Omega. And for me, I picked Kenny because I think he's in the top 3 wrestlers in the world.
I was just kind of going against the grain of
Bro, I'm telling you mine now, or I'm telling you mine.
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega would be number 1, and I think that that's for multiple reasons. The man has traveled the world. He meets and makes friendships everywhere he goes that have been
Japanese.
He's respectful of other cultures. And as such, he becomes an ambassador. He becomes a door, just like Tony Khan is. When you are respectful of other people are willing to trust you and work with you. And that's how Dynamite Download gets interviews, because we try to show respect to the performers. So I think that Kenny has done a great thing in that, as great of an in-ring performer he is also such an asset to your company if you're building it, as far as talent acquisition, as far as knowledge of the business, as far as booking and creative, and just all around wanting other talent to come want to work with Kenny Omega. So he would be my number 1 pick. I'm not going to surprise you. Pac's my number 2 pick because I could just throw Pac and Kenny Omega in the ring anytime I want and get a 5-star match. I think that Pac is legitimately every bit as good as Kenny Omega in the ring, but he just does not give a shit about social media at all and doesn't want to deal with anybody. And that's why his ceiling is maybe not as high as far as like what it means to be a star as Kenny is, but Pac is awesome. And what I learned from Maddie Rankowski's interview was be authentic, be real. And Pac is real, man. Like he is the bastard for a reason. So I would pick him. His offense blows my mind. I think the Pac is so good. So Kenny, Pac, and Britt.
North Carolina. All right, so Kenny, Pac, and what? Britt? You said
and Britt. Yeah. Because I feel like Britt has shown she puts in the work. She's become such a better in-ring performer than I think anyone was willing to give her credit for. Like, dude, when you watch, like, Bonds talked about it this match against Nyla, how she had to adapt to her, like, to that kind of opponent. Britt, like, is so good at the little things. I like when she always catches the camera. She knows how to play to the camera, and that's so important in an era where you don't have a lot of crowds, right? Like, you have to connect with the camera, and so she's very good at that. And I think that she's young. She's incredibly talented. She's very smart. You talk about ambassador like Thunder Rosa. Britt is a great role model too, right? She's a DMD. She's well spoken. She's dating Adam Cole, baby. She's living the life, dude. She's got great dogs. Like she's just like she's killing life. And I think that she's young and has a bright enough star that if you have Kenny Omega, Britt Baker, and Pac on your roster, I'll take my roster against anybody's in the whole world. That's my take.
Great picks, Mike. Great picks. I think that's an all-star roster with both you guys. I think that'd be awesome to start. Just you have the star power, and that's great. And we're only gonna have one overlap out of all of us, which is pretty awesome.
That is wild, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
My first picks though is MJF.
I thought about him.
Yeah, young. He's not even 25 yet. He's got Chris. He's learning from Chris Jericho now. Exactly. And I think that we're in a place with him where we know how talented he is on the microphone.
True.
And he's good in the ring as well. So you have a guy who has everything you want. And he's
so young.
He's got 25 years in the business if he wants it. If he wrestles for 25 years from where he is now, he's not going to be as old as Chris Jericho yet. Yeah. That's insane.
Wow.
That's insane.
If you put it that way, man, that's hard to believe.
Yeah. So starting a business with a guy like that, he's going to be the top guy. Like, I'm an Edge head. You guys know it. I got my Edge cup, right? Edge, he was my favorite wrestler growing up, right? I've always loved the heels. Mike, you know it. Sean, you know it. Like, I've always loved the heels. It's always been my thing. And MJF is the best young heel I've seen in my entire time as a wrestling fan. He's on point every week.
Wow.
I don't think he's flubbed anything. He's never flubbed a line. He's never flubbed a match. He's been on point ever since I've been watching the guy. He's just great in the ring. He's a great singer too. We saw him on the Rosie O'Donnell show. He's great. He's a great singer.
Yeah, so we love that.
So MJF's my first pick. I'm gonna go with Britt as well, Mike. SPD Thunder Rosa was my second choice, but I think Britt just has the charisma. She's improved in the ring. I loved her match against Nyla. I thought it was a great match. She was able to adapt in the ring. It was just she's like the female version of MJF for me, where she's a great heel, but she's also
I agree.
She's also a great role model because she's a different person on social, I think, and she's also a dentist, and she's like that's insane. Like she's got like this great practice going, and she's also a great wrestler, and she's able to be a role model, and also she's great on the mic and really good in the ring now. And I think that that's somebody you could build a division around. And when I'm thinking of building a business, I want to build a division around these people. And my last pick is Jon Moxley. And that's because John, because every week he just dominates. And his in-ring style might not be the most precise. He's not doing high-flying moves. He's not what everybody thinks of as like the best technical wrestler, but he's so good on the mic and he's so good at telling stories.
That's
and
true.
Every match,
is
even
true.
if he's not this technical wrestling phenom,
You're right.
he's so good at telling stories.
You're so right, dude.
And I love that about him. And he's right now one of my favorites to watch every week because every week he dominates. And on the microphone, in the ring, he's so good. And he's involved in these storylines with these top tier stars. And you just know that he's a guy that will draw. So if I'm building a company, he's the main draw. He's my Steve Austin. He's the guy that I know is going to get me tickets.
He's so good, dude. You're
right. So you have a young guy to build around. You have a young woman wrestler to build around. And you have Moxley, who's a proven commodity in the business. And I think that would be a great trio to start a company.
Wow. We should do a poll and see who has the best roster to build a company around. That. I mean, that is all three of us have great picks. And I love that we're all different. I think that's really says a lot about the way the AEW roster is constructed. I think, that I feel good about mine, but you guys make compelling arguments for all your character, like all your guys in this company. Like it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like on paper, everyone will have their own opinion, but if you hear us defend your choices, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Like
who do you think's your best now in hindsight, SPD? Who do you think's your best and your worst pick?
I don't want to go down that aisle. I don't want to go down that.
All right, maybe next time.
But I think that it's easy for people to be like, okay, yes, Britt Baker because he's the face division. I completely agree. But my reasoning for Thunder is more than just in-ring stuff.
Right.
Like it was more of a Brandy Rhodes ambassador, John Cena. And so that is someone you need for a brand regardless, Moxley has done some community stuff, but he's typically known as like the lone wolf.
Yeah.
But it's easy
easy
to build a brand around because he's so dang good and passionate. But like you have someone to serve the community like Cody and Thunder. That's a 1-2 punch to build a brand that I picked.
That's very true. And Cody's got the mind. Yeah.
And even Ricky Starks, like, he's a good looking dude, but he's a bad guy, man. He's easy to hate. So yes, it's not this behemoth of Paul White or a Brian Cage or someone like that, but I think, we all have some interesting stuff for sure.
I like all three of our teams.
We all
yeah.
Like mine, you could tell mine.
Yeah, we should put that out on the Twitterverse to hear tomorrow. Let's post it and be like and showcase the three we pick and get some feedback.
Yeah,
we'll post a segment up too separately. We'll do that and everybody can see it because I think this is a good talk. We have some.
Thank you, Brian, for that question. That is interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah. Like the more I look at it, like SPD, it's like the way our teams break out. It's very interesting. Like it fits our personalities in the way that we like to watch wrestling. I think that is like you're very much about like the brand. Even with Dynamite Download, you talked to me all about like make sure like you are representing this brand and like we have to no matter what. Even like it even when I get discouraged about like negative people tend to get like more attention from the superstar or whatever. And you're like, dude, even if we only have 800 followers, whatever, like if the talent notices that we are genuinely like positive and that we mean what we say and that we're authentic and we stick to those core values and we don't waver from them, we're going to be okay. And your brand represents that. Like Thunder, Cody, you have a brand that people could be proud of. And like you could take your kids to that show and everyone would be like, yeah, like that would be the type of show. And I like that. Mine was more like built like kind of like a Ring of Honor. Like it's like, all right, I'm going after like the most technically like the best wrestler I could possibly get in Pac, I think. And Kenny Omega is the best bout machine. You have, to me, like in-ring performance-wise, those guys can have an Iron Man match every single week, right? Like that would be they're just amazing. And you could use them as a base for so many other guys that you want to build. Like think about if you throw Kenny Omega in a match with you, SPD, you're in good shape. You're not a wrestler. You could still look like $1 million.
I would hope so. That'd be awesome.
Kenny could like $100.
Kenny, maybe 100, maybe 100.
Hot 50.
Kenny can put on a great match with just about anybody, and he's showing that he can play heel, face, he can do singles, he can do tag team. In his AEW run already, he's done the hangman thing, he's done the good guy thing, he's done the bad guy thing. Kenny can do it all. And he's also just like such a dude. He's the one who's like pushing the women's. Think about how excited we are about the women's division and the women's movement. Kenny's pushing that, baby. There would be no DMD Britt Baker if it wasn't Kenny, like, kind of nudging her. You should play heel a little bit. You should do that. Yeah. So, and then for me, like Britt, you guys know, like, I think that Britt is legit. Bonds, I love your justification too, because it kind of goes more towards like, you think about the youth of the performer. You think about, you kind of really like the bad guys. So you go after MJF. Yeah. I mean, dude, I like the way our teams broke out. I think they're all evenly matched. I want to hear what the fans think. I'm excited. I think that's a great question. Thank you, Brian.
Give the people what they want. I think that's a great way to set off into the sunset, into the weekend. Cheers, everyone. Revolution. Thank you all for joining us. This was a lot of fun. We had some great topics. We're going to actually take some of these in throughout the week and really take them to the social universe. I'm going to send out some tweets, and Mike or Crayfish is going to send out some tweets about this topic specifically. Also, some of our bold booking choices, booking by SPD of the Battle Royal winning and the pay-per-view upcoming.
Yes.
Some bold choices with Hobbs winning the ladder match even.
Love that idea.
So thank you guys so much for joining us for another edition of Friday Night Flights and Fights. You guys know where to find us on YouTube.
Share it.
Yeah, share it on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify if you want to listen. If you guys are driving and heading to work or anywhere, we'll have all our shows on Spotify playlists and podcasts for sure. So we appreciate you guys spending your Friday night with us. Cheers, and we will talk to you guys throughout the week.
Tarzan boy.
Oh, yeah. We got to sail off into the sunset the right way for sure. So, and make sure and check out that interview. We're all about, uplifting others and positive stuff. So, and I think that Maddie interview was just another addition of that. And we see Crayfish definitely sees some legit boss kind of style to her as well.
For sure.
So
yep.
We're excited for that. So, all right, Mind Runner. We'll do it for you. And like you said, Brian, hit the music.
See everybody. Have a good night.
You're in the jungle.
That carries on.